friends. This is another episode of the program Empire of Lies, in which we talk about manipulation and disinformation in the Russian media. Political Academy of Laughter, how Solovyov turns geopolitics into a farce. In the latest episode of Sunday Evening, Vladimir Solovyov once again showed that Russian TV has long ceased to be a platform for analysis and has turned into a stage for an absurd performance. Where the fate of Europe, Ukraine, and the United States are discussed, the viewer is fed a mixture of foul language, crude jokes, and conspiracy theories. Clowning instead of analysis. The segment of the broadcast is built on mockery. American politicians are called hysterical, gay, and the blue Oyster bar from the Comedy Police Academy is recalled. Vulgar insinuations about fights in the corridors of power, allegedly between officials of the Trump administration, are used. These are not random remarks. This is a carefully chosen technique to turn the opponent into a caricature. If the opponent is not a politician, but a clown or a hysteric, then there is no need to argue with him. The viewer is told that the West is not governed by leaders, but by funny characters, which means that Russia has the moral right to ignore them. The impotence technique as special target is Donald Trump. He is simultaneously called smarter than his advisors and politically impotent. The paradox is intentional. In this way, the audience is convinced that even strong US leaders are powerless before Putin's flawless test. This technique is repeated from issue to issue. Any event is interpreted as proof of America's weakness. Either China and India sent Trump, or Chicago does not obey federal authorities. Russia in this narrative always emerges victorious. If not on the battlefield, then in the moral dimension, how it is sold to the viewer one. The air defense story, Turkey buys S-400 after the failure of the American Patriots, a classic example of how any local event is used to assert the superiority of Russian weapons. 2. Alaska as Trump's failure. Negotiations that no one actually saw are interpreted as a test that America failed. 3. Chicago and the mafia. The domestic political difficulties of the United States are turning into a joke about spaghetti and a mafioso governor. Besant got into a fight again, huh? Well, they sort of dragged him away, didn't have time to punch him in the face, with the director of the Housing Finance Administration. And Besant is generally hysterical. Well, apparently it was he who punched the mask in the face. Now it's clear for sure. Well, just a gay hysteric, this is already some kind of, I don't know, police academy comedy. Well-known music is playing. The blue Oyster bar. The girls are fighting. Well, listen, how can this be? The thing is, the director of this federal housing agency is a snitch. He was the one who ratted on the fox. Why it is important for Europe. For the European viewer, such stories are a warning. Russia is building an information reality where the West is fragmented and incapable of either war or negotiations. The United States is losing control both inside and outside the country. Europe is shown as a hostage of America, then as a gathering of insignificant politicians. This is not just propaganda, it is a method of psychological warfare. The goal is to convince Europeans that their governments are weak and ridiculous, and that the alliance with the US is unreliable. Russian television continues to replace analytics with farce. Instead of discussing real threats, there are taunts about the accents of Indian call centers and jokes about blue bars. Instead of analyzing American politics, there are stories about fights and the mafia. But behind this farce, there is a serious calculation to demoralize, destroy trust in Western institutions, and instill the idea that the world already lives in a logic where only Moscow dictates the rules. You were on the program Empire of Lies. See you soon.